So, to start this off, I have a question for you guys. Are you feeling optimistic about the future of the game, future of Blood Angels, the future of 40K, as a whole? Because I gotta be honest with you guys, I don't think I am. I don't think I'm optimistic. I think I'm very pessimistic. I feel like I have a case of Blood Angel pessimism. And I knew that I wanted to start this video off different. I wanted it to be different because it's not like the other videos where I've, reviewed something or merely gave my opinion on something. But this one I feel deserves a particular style, I suppose, a particular way of going about it, way of asking you guys how you feel, what your opinions are, and sharing my feelings and my opinions on where everything is. So, I'm not feeling optimistic. Not so much the game, but concerning Blood Angels, I do not feel very optimistic at all. And there's a couple reasons for that. You guys should know that I jumped in with 7th edition. I got into the game, I want to say like a month or two after 7th edition came out. And Blood Angels were the army that got me into the hobby. And all through 7th, I couldn't help but feel perhaps a little bit ignored by GW. And I realized that was old GW, but frankly, the old GW and the new GW don't really seem to care much about Blood Angels, regardless of, what new models they release or what half-assed supplements they release. It doesn't really feel genuine to me. And all throughout 7th, I was looking at Space Marines, I was looking at Dark Angels, I was looking at Grey Knights, I was looking at Space Wolves. And I remember thinking, okay, well, Space Marines get all the toys, that's no-brainer there. Okay, I can deal with that. And then the Necron Codex came out, and everyone was going on and on about this new Decurion, quote-unquote, style of detachment. And I didn't know what was, really going on at that point in time. I was fairly new to the game, and I was like, okay, well, whatever. Well, whatever. That's what I said to myself. Then as time went on, we got the new Space Marine Codex. We got the new Dark Angels Codex. And our Scouts and our Dreadnoughts remained out of date for quite a long time. Our Vanguard Veterans and Terminators are still out of date to this day, have not been updated as of, the recent errata FAQ. I say recent, but really it came out about a month or two ago, something like that. And once again, I find myself feeling left behind. And not in every sense. I realize that, we've been given, as Blood Angels players, a prominent role in the Black Crusade, dealing with, the Crimson Slaughter and part of the Black Legion and the, Diamor system. I talked a little bit about this in my, what is the purpose of Angel's Blade video, but I couldn't help but feel like it wasn't complete, like it wasn't what it was meant to be, it wasn't what it was supposed to be, what it should have been. And I think the last bit of hope that I had for Blood Angels in this edition pretty much died with Angel's Blade. And it was certainly painful, and I could make another video talking about why we've become, maybe not everyone out there, but perhaps why I personally have become so invested in these little plastic soldiers. It does make me smile and kind of makes me giggle a little bit now that I think about how much stress some of these things have caused me. But being that we are hobbyists, we have obviously put a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of passion into these things. I don't really think anyone could really do this unless they had a passion for it. I've never once come across anyone who wasn't passionate about their army. Perhaps you guys have. But for me, I'm passionate about my army. I'm passionate about the models I collect. And to me, I feel like my army has not been done any justice. Well, I shouldn't say that. We've been dealt with better than some armies out there. I feel like Orcs, Sisters of Battle, Dark Eldar, and there was a time when I would argue Chaos Space Marines, but they've been helped in probably the best way possible. And hats off to them, honestly. I think it's great that GW sort of came out of their shell a little bit and started expanding things for a army that needed it. And it's nice to see that Chaos is a threat again. It's nice to see that they can do some cool stuff. And Trader Legions is awesome. Don't get me wrong. However, I'm worried because now that I've been disillusioned with Angels Blade, I've looked at Exterminatus and that was mediocre at best. The Codex is a fail. It's a bust. So where does that sort of leave us for the future? Well, honestly, I've been paying attention to some of the Gathering Storm stuff. I haven't covered it so far on this channel because, frankly, this is a more or less Blood Angel, centric channel, so if it doesn't directly impact Blood Angels, I probably won't cover it. There's also the fact that these things require money, and being a single working class college student, I simply don't have the funds to buy every single book that GW releases, every other month, or every month in the case of the Gathering Storm. So, looking at just the fluff, I'm a little bit worried also. And part of it is because I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Blood Angels. I realize that, it's, the grimdark and things are bad everywhere. But to give you guys a recap, with the Cryptis system, we didn't take the largest beating ever, the Blood Angels and the Flesh Tearers, but there were definitely some significant losses. And we jump into Angel's Blade, where the entirety of the 5th Company gets turned to death, which, they basically fall to the Black Rage or whatever due to some psychic shenanigans by some Chaos Sorcerer in the Black Legion. Spoilers alert, by the way. Just want to mention this, there will be spoilers, as far as the lore is concerned, but I figure most of you guys have probably already read it if you're watching this channel. So, the 5th Company, they're all dead at this point. Half of the 1st Company, at least half, is also dead, if not most of the 1st Company is dead at this point. Half of the Sanguinary Guard is dead at this point. Half to most of the 2nd Company is dead, if not most of them. So I realize, again, that, there are some other, Space Marine chapters out there facing some hard times, like Imperial Fists and all that, but it got me thinking, what exactly is GW going to do with Blood Angels and all this? They've been doing stuff with Space Wolves, they've been doing stuff with Ultramarines, Dark Angels, Grey Knights, they've all kind of interwoven all of that, but what are they going to do with Blood Angels concerning all this? Because I don't think, and this is, it could perhaps they wouldn't, but I don't think that GW would pass up an opportunity to make a buck. And I say this because, sort of branching off from our current topic at the moment, I highly doubt that GW would resist the urge to bring back all of the Primarchs through some way, somehow, and sell them to us. Because, let's be honest here, if they re-released, or I should say just flat-out released, a plastic Sanguinius model, we'd all buy it. I mean, I don't think that, there's anyone out there who wouldn't buy it. Maybe, if you're pinched for cash, or maybe if, the lore was just butchered to such an utter degree that you just, you couldn't stomach it. But even if the lore was butchered, I think I'd still buy the model. I'd voice my dissent, obviously, but I'd still buy the model. And I feel like a lot of players would do that. I feel like a lot of the Chaos Space Marine and Space Marine players out there, from all different warbands, chapters, legions, whatever, everyone would buy their Primarch. And why wouldn't you, assuming you had the funds for it, and assuming that the lore wasn't completely butchered, If for nothing else, just so you could have it. Now, we can touch on, the Primarchs coming back and all that a little bit later, but part of me got thinking, is GW really gonna do right by us, I guess would be the question. And I know that Blood Angels aren't the worst treated, but given that this is, a Blood Angel themed channel, given that this is a Blood Angel themed video, I'm sorry, to the Orc players out there. I'm sorry to the Imperial Guard, definitely the Sisters of Battle, Dark Eldar too. I'm sure that there's more out there, but to me, it's not necessarily a pissing contest. I understand that there are other armies that don't get the same love that others do. And I feel as though, even though Blood Angels have been fairly good compared to some of the worst examples out there, I don't feel that the Sons of Sanguinius have been done justice. They haven't been done justice through the entirety of this edition. And looking to the future, I'm, like I said, very pessimistic. I don't think that GW would necessarily do us right. And here's the other thing. Assuming that they have enough, integrity to the lore that they don't bring all the Primarchs back, well then, who are they going to give us, Who is going to be, the returning hero for the Blood Angels? Are they just going to re-release the Sanguinor? I suppose they could do that. I suppose, Dante and the Sanguinor and some of the other characters of the Blood Angels, it might be nice to have some updated models, sure. But the Sanguinor isn't necessarily the best model, and if they did re-release him, I don't think I'd buy it. So then who else? Let's say they bring back someone else, If it's not Sanguinius, maybe Azkalan? But what would he really be? What would he really do? I feel like if they brought back Azkalan, he might be, Commander Dante 2.0. Which is great, but, it doesn't... To me, there wouldn't necessarily be so much wow factor in that. As opposed to, a Primarch, coming back. But, moving forward, from this... I don't know what they're going to do with Blood Angels concerning the fluff in the future. And moving on from the fluff, moving on to the tabletop, I don't know how they're going to sort of transfer over everything to 8th edition. And 8th edition is something that I'm not particularly looking forward to. I'm hearing a lot of people say things like, oh, well, just get rid of, the universal special rules and do this and do that. I hope people realize what the hell they're actually saying when they make some of the statements that they do. Because, I was on, Bell of Lost Souls, which, sometimes the comment section in there is sometimes just pure cancer. I'll be quite honest with you about that. But I was reading, a couple of the comments on one of the things, and it was like, oh, well, some of the universal special rules that no one really uses, like, relentless and rage and fearless or whatever, just, get rid of those. Just get rid of those, because no one remembers those, and they don't really do anything anyway. And I said, wait a minute. Those universal special rules are what makes Death Company so good. And what make, some other units in this game so good. If you're going to get rid of universal special rules, you better find a damn good way to incorporate what they did previously into their basic stat line then. Because don't just cut out the universal special rules and then just have this, shell of what was once a good unit. Because I gotta tell you, GW, if you thought Blood Angels players were pissed off with Angel's Blade or the Codex or Exterminatus, wait and you see what happens when you take Death Company and you turn them into Assault Marines with black power armor. Just fucking wait. There will be repercussions to that decision. I don't think GW is necessarily that stupid, but they've proven me wrong before. I thought that they knew what they were doing with Angel's Blade, but clearly they didn't. So I'm expecting to be disappointed with 8th edition and with whatever iteration of rules come out for the armies, whether it be like a battle tome thing like with Age of Sigmar, whether it be I keep on hearing that people that they're going to get rid of codexes. That is possible. If they had everything inside of one book, and I mean everything inside of one book, where it was all the data sheets for all of the armies, and they didn't cut anything, I could see myself getting behind that. To me, that might actually be worth $60 of my money. But moreover, I am very hesitant to put my faith in GW anymore. I think that they've spit in my face too many times, and I say this as a guy who bought the fucking $200 Angel's Blade special edition that came with everything. Production values are great, by the way. I've never been disappointed with GW with any of their production value stuff. I think it's great. Although the fact that some of the pictures and images in Angel's Blade aren't original. It seems like they've just taken a whole bunch of not all the pictures in Angel's Blade are reused, but a lot of the pictures in Angel's Blade are from the Codex and from previous codexes, and they've spliced them up with some alternate Photoshop, and it looks good still. But I just wish that the book that I'm paying $60 for had some original artwork in it, or was comprised entirely of original artwork and not this sort of half-assed slapped together or just different Photoshop of different pictures. It's kind of annoying, but getting back on topic here, I don't know how they're going to transfer everything into 8th edition. I'm hearing a lot of talking heads, going back to Bell of Lost Souls. There was another one that was like, oh hey, can you imagine how great it would be? I don't know if I can find the article. If I do get the time, I may post links to the articles that I am citing here. I probably won't, but if enough people demand it, I'll see what I can do. But anyway, there was this one article that was like, oh hey, it's going to be great that GW gets rid of codexes or whatever, because can you imagine how great it would be to just have a tactical squad instead of a Blood Angels tactical squad? And I remember reading that, and I was like, have you actually asked a Blood Angels player about how they feel about that? Because I'll tell you one thing, I like the fact that our tactical squads are a little bit different. I like the fact that our tactical squads can bring heavy flamers, and that we have Furious Charge, and that we're not just some giant fucking homogenous collection of Marines, and that the only difference between us is the power armor and the shiny bullshit we hang off of it. I like the fact that there is some personality and some differences between, even some of the most basic units within, the Space Marine line, and within, all of the, variations of it. I like the fact that, Dark Angels have some interesting stuff. I like the fact that Space Wolves have some interesting stuff. I like the fact that, the different chapters, in Angels of Death have some cool stuff that they can do. And I like the fact that Blood Angels have some cool stuff that they can do as well. What I wouldn't like is if GW said, alright, well, you know what, let's just have, everyone's cool shit just be stripped away, and here you go, here's the basic template for everyone. And, hey, you want to play Blood Angels? Just use the Space Marine Codex and paint them red. That would be incredibly upsetting. Although it wouldn't be a codex, it'd be, just use the Adeptus Astartes Battle Tome and paint your army red. And looking at it from that perspective, I can fully understand how pissed off Chaos Space Marine players got, because that would really get under my skin if GW did that, and for all I know, they still might. So, with all this stuff, and again, feel free to, leave a comment, touching on any of the things that I'm bringing up, but I feel like this pessimism has sort of spilled over. It spilled over to me to the point where I'm actually having some trouble, getting motivated in painting or building my army. Right now, I have 2 units of Vanguard vets that still need finished. I have a 5-man unit of Stern Guard that needs finished. I have a Storm Raven gunship that needs built and painted, a Land Raider that needs built and painted, Razorback that needs built and painted. Plus, I have to go back through my other 50 models or whatever and touch up the bases a little bit. And as I'm sure we all know, being in this hobby, it can get a little bit overwhelming sometimes. And what helps overcome that is if I'm motivated and I'm excited about the lore and my army, and something that makes me want to build and paint and get everything just right, just ready, to go out there to the hobby shop and play games and do all that fun stuff. I haven't been feeling that as of late. I haven't been feeling the motivation to sit down for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours at a time and really build or paint or do anything remotely related to growing my army and making it better, making it suitable for the tabletop. And I say suitable. I realize that real life gets in the way of the fun things we want to do, and hey, you may never be able to maybe not never, but you may not be able to paint your models that often. And that's fine. I don't think I'd ever tell anyone how to play their hobby, how to experience their hobby. For me personally, I just don't like fielding unfinished miniatures on the table. I try to get them finished. But all this being said, I'm curious to hear your guys' opinion on what I've talked about so far, the things I've gone over, and whether or not you guys are feeling pessimistic, whether you have Blood Angel pessimism. And it's ironic because the Blood Angels are probably some of the most optimistic and sometimes mystic chapters out there. But I don't know that I'm feeling it. I'm feeling kind of the opposite of that. I'm feeling like who knows, maybe we're never gonna get back to the golden age, Maybe we're not gonna get all the cool toys that our brother chapters have, and if so, how would we get out of this rut? How would you guys say we get out of this rut? What do you guys do to sort of pick yourselves up? Or haven't you yet? Are you still kind of, just sort of, not depressed, but again, pessimistic about what's going to be happening in the future and how things are going to transition into 8th edition, as it is, no doubt, fastly approaching. So, anyway, that's all I got time for in this video. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say down below in the comments section. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.